I'm gonna do the Draw My Life story, but not drawing it. Like, I'm just gonna tell you. Okay. So, my name is Paige. I was born in St. Louis, Missouri on November 7th, 1993 at 7:30 in the morning. I lived in St. Louis till I was in 8th grade. I went to Shaw VPA Elementary, Carr Lane VPA Middle School, and then in 8th grade, the 7th grade, right before 7th grade was over, my dad decided he wanted to move to St. Genevieve, which is where my grandma lived. I didn't really want to move, but I thought, new adventure. And so I was bullied a lot, elementary, middle school, and high school. Not as bad in high school though. So in 8th grade I moved up to this town called St. Genevieve, Missouri. And I was so afraid, but I only knew one person, and that was because I grew up with her, because it was my grandma's best friend's granddaughter. And I sat with her and we hung out, and then I made other friends. I made this guy friend who lived 2 houses down from me. His name was Josh, and we became best friends, and I had the biggest crush on him, and it was fantastic, and I fell for this kid. And he was the first guy to ever tell me I was pretty outside of my family. So he is the reason I fell for him so hard. And then my best friend at the time started dating him, and it made me so mad, but I still wanted to be with him. Well, they broke up, and I was like, listen, I really like you. So we kinda dated. I don't consider it that we dated because we dated for like 2 days. And I found out later that my friend forced him to date me because I liked him so much, which, whatever though. But I really liked him, and we hung out like almost every day. And I used to babysit these 2 girls that lived right around the corner from me every Saturday and Sunday. And their best friend was Josh's little sister, so I got to hang out with Josh. Well, one day, I was at Josh's, and he's like, you have to meet this boy. You have to meet him. And I did. His name is Jay Alexander Hill, and I did not like him at first at all, because I felt like he was stealing Josh from me, because Josh would always leave me for him, and it made me so upset. And I found out that this kid really liked me, and I'm like, this kid likes me. So we started hanging out, and then he started coming over to my house and playing with my little brother, who is 2 years younger than me. His name is Max. Okay. One night, I was sitting on the computer, which is in the same room as the TV at the time when we had that house, or at the time, the TV was in that computer. The computer was in the living room. I was on the computer, and he comes up to me, and he goes, I really like you. And I'm like, really? You really like me? And I ran upstairs, and I texted my friend, like, this dude likes me. I don't know what to do. Never had this. And then I guess kept hanging out with him all the time. And then October 6th, 2008, he and I were hanging out with one of his friends, and he asked if we were dating, and I said no. And he said yes. And I was like, what? And then he asked me out. And we dated for 3 years. He was my first real boyfriend. He was my first kiss. He was my first everything. Like, I was so in love with this kid. And then this girl came along and she's like, I'm gonna steal your boyfriend. Like, I got this like, I started to try to be friends with this girl. And she texted me one day and she's like, I'm gonna steal your boyfriend. And I asked him about it and he denied it. And I was like, alright. So, and his birthday came and I was sitting on the couch with him talking. And then she walked in and I got to the phase to where I started kissing on him and like hugging on him, like saying like, this is my boyfriend, not yours. Well, that night after I left, I got a text message and it said that he wanted to break up and he wanted to be single. I was heartbroken. I tried to talk him out of it. I told him I'd do anything, and he wanted to be with her. And I was so heartbroken. We decided to stay friends, and then maybe like 2 months later, my brother started going into episodes. We found out my brother was autistic and schizophrenic, and he helped me through a lot of that. I was extremely depressed with my brother, through what happened with him. Like, he helped me. It's really funny that he is the reason I was so depressed, but yet he helped me with it a lot at the time. His girlfriend found out we were talking and she didn't like that, so we had to hide it from her. And I would still go over there and talk to him. We would still hang out, and I wanted him to leave her so bad. And then I found out I had a class with him, and that was so hard. But I wanted a relationship. I wanted him. I didn't want anyone else. But I thought friendship was all I can get right now. So we still hung out, and then he dropped out of school. He started being homeschooled. And I would text him during the day and be like, I'm gonna come over, and all this other stuff. And one day I was over there, and she came over, and it threw in this big fight. And that was at the end of our friendship. There was meanness going through both sides of me calling her names, her calling me names in the hallway, and then it got to the point where I was just like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck anymore. My senior year, I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care about my grades. I didn't care about anything. I got to the point where I didn't care about anything. I didn't think I was gonna be a senior. I thought I was a junior. That October, my dad kicked my mom out, and it was a couple days before Halloween, which is a week before my birthday, and I cried for the whole day until my best friend came up to my house and was like, you need to get out, put on your costume, we're going to a party. And I was like, no, I don't want to go, I want my mom and all this other stuff. And she made me get up and go, and I had fun, and I'm glad she made me get up and go. I went back home that night. My mom wasn't there. I was so heartbroken. Like, I was so upset that my mom left. Like, all I wanted was my mom to come back. And then the weekend of my birthday, I went and stayed with her. And she took me to get my first real piercing, I guess. Like, for my birthday, I wanted a tattoo. And she told me no. For my birthday, I wanted to get my tongue pierced. She said no. So I went online and I looked at piercings. And I finally was like, Mom, can I get my industrial pierced? And she asked what it was, and I showed her. Which is this. I got it on November 6th, which is the day before my birthday. And I love it. Like, it's one of my favorite piercings I have. And then she never came back. I lived with my dad until like the whole time. And then I was failing out of school, and my school's like, I think you should just drop out. And I'm like, I'm not gonna drop out. And they're like, you need to try harder. And I didn't have the motivation to try. Like, fuck yeah, I wanted to graduate, but I had no motivation to try. So I went and talked to a teacher, and I asked for her opinion, and she asked me, why aren't you doing Missouri Options? And I was like, what's Missouri Options? And she told me it's the GED program. So I asked the counselor about it, and she told me they didn't think I could do it. And my teacher at the time forced them to let me. So I got into it, and I passed the test to get in, and I did Missouri Options, and everyone's told me the whole time that I couldn't do it and I wouldn't pass. I think it was like February 5th, 2012, I went and took the GED test, and I failed. And I cried. And I was like, I'm a failure, I'm not gonna do this. And they said, you have one more chance, but we're not gonna let you go until we think you're ready. I studied, I did everything and anything I had to. But also I was working, because to be in Missouri Options, you have to either be volunteering or have a job. And I found somewhere that would let me volunteer, and it was an antique shop, which my dad's friend owned. Within 2 weeks, she told me she didn't want me anymore. She wasn't even giving me the hours I needed. So I got really upset, and she's like, don't get upset. I found somewhere else for you. So I went somewhere else, which it's a historical home in St. John, and I worked there the whole rest of the time. They gave me the hours I needed. They gave me a lot of opportunities. And then a week or two before I was supposed to graduate, I took the GED test. A month before I was supposed to graduate, I took the GED test again. A couple weeks before I graduated, I got my test results, and I passed with flying colors. I was horrible in math from like middle school to high school. I got the best grade in math. What? Yeah. I got to do all the senior things, senior day, the senior picnic, the senior everything. I walked with my class. It was great. And then I stayed working at the Bolduc. And then when I was in September of that year, I got a message on Facebook while I was at work, and it said, "I miss you. Will you come see me?" And it was from Alex, my ex-boyfriend of 3 years. And I was like, "I'm at work, and I don't know if I want to." And I did. I wanted to so bad, but I knew that if I went over there, that I don't know what I would do. So I went over there. And we talked and hung out, and I told him everything, and it was really cool, and I thought he changed. And we hung out like every day. And then one day I was over there, and she came over. It's like 9 o'clock at night, and she just walked in. And I was like, "Why is she here?" And he's like, "I guess to get her stuff, because her stuff was still there, because they lived together at the time." And he's like, "I think it's best for you to leave." And I'm like, "Alright." So I left. So I texted him throughout that whole night. He never answered me. That next day, I texted him some more. He never answered me. So I went over there. And he told me he wanted to be with her. And I, again, was heartbroken. And I cried in front of him about it. And he told me that he wanted to be friends. So we stayed friends. And we eventually just became fuck buddies. And I don't regret it, to be honest. Because, I don't know. I thought that if I did that for him, he would come back to me. So we did that for a couple weeks, and then he's like, "I don't think I want to do this anymore." And I was like, "Whatever." And then I started talking to Andrew, and he made me feel liked and wanted and then he started becoming really distant. But I've already wanted to be with this kid. So we talked and then one night, it was like in January, my phone called him a whore on accident. I went to say hi and it said hoe. And he told me he was a hoe and how he wants to have sex and all this other stuff. And I'm like, "I don't want sex, I want a relationship." And he's like, "I don't want a relationship." And I'm like, "Well, I don't want to talk to you anymore because you just get my hopes up for nothing." And that's when he asked me out. And then we dated. We eventually did have sex. And I don't really care. In April, no, actually it was probably early March, I got a text message on Facebook from Alex again, and it said hi, and I'm like, "I don't want to talk to you." And he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "'Cause you're nothing but a piece of shit." And we talked a little bit, and I'm just like, "I really don't know what I want to talk to you about because you really hurt my feelings." And he's just like, "I didn't mean to." So I ended up dating him again. Or I ended up talking to him again. I broke up with Andrew for him not making me feel wanted or needed, and Alex did. But I never dated him. We just talked. we didn't start dating until the 20th of April, which was like a couple days ago. And no, it wasn't the 20th. It was probably like the 10th or something. I don't know, it was like the 10th or something. We started dating, and I really liked him still. To this day, to that day, I loved him, but I was trying to not. Like, I was trying to forget about him, because obviously he didn't want me to be with this girl. So we started dating, and I went up there one day, and we hung out, and it was great, and it was great. And I was in college a couple days ago, and he goes, "I have a surprise for you," and I'm like, okay. And then I was telling him about the book I'm reading about them getting married, and he goes, "Well, I was just gonna wait till you come see me again, but I have a surprise for you." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, what's that?" And I'm engaged. He has a ring for me and everything. I don't know when I'm gonna go get it, but yeah. I obviously said yes since I'm engaged. I want to only be with him, to be honest with you. Everyone's telling me I shouldn't do this, but he makes me happy. And I feel like he wouldn't have made this big of a commitment if he was just gonna leave me again. So, that's my life story right now. If you have any questions or comments, you can always leave in the little text box below. And I hope you have a great life and a great day. Bye.